Good morning, ASEAN. Freshen up your world, your thought, and your idea with us every weekday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. I'm Patsurang Desha Pudarangsi.
And I'm Rina Dongpersit. It's Thursday, the 18th of April. What do we have today?
Well, the ASEAN Talk of the Town topic today is absolutely a story revolving around the update from the International Court of Justice hearing concerning Thailand and Cambodia's dispute on Pravihan case and its vicinity. But yesterday, a member of Thailand's legal team said in an oral statement to the ICJ that Cambodia was actually hoping that the ICJ would change its 1962 verdict on the Pravihan case when it petitioned the court to reinterpret the ruling. But then Donald McGray confirmed that Phnom Penh had asked the ICJ to reinterpret the 1962 verdict, which awarded the possession of the ancient Pravihan temple to Cambodia, because it wanted the court to rule that the boundary line is defined by a French-made 1 to 200,000 scale map. However, Kunwina, the court declined to rule on the map in 1962 and said specifically it had no jurisdiction to decide on demarcation, and Phnom Penh's petition lacked clarity and specificity. Weerchai Plasai, Thai ambassador to The Hague and leader of the legal team, said his Cambodian counterparts had fabricated information and attempted to mislead the court by using a falsified map to back its request for an interpretation of the court's 1962 ruling on the temple. Weerchai actually said that Thailand has strictly followed all along the 1962 verdict, but Cambodia's intention is clear, and it is trying to get the court to reinterpret the 1 to 200,000 scale map and trying to get Pravihan listed as a World Heritage Site. The official was actually positive that Thailand's oral statement to the International Court of Justice would be able to convince the judges to rule in Thailand's favor. But Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra, and she was actually pleased with Wednesday's outcome as they had prepared information, the interpreters, in advance, making it easier for people to understand both sides' statements. But then meanwhile, a self-styled patriot group had rally in Kantaralak district in Sisaket province on Wednesday, aiming to raise the Thai national flag. And then on the 4.6 square kilometer patch of land around the temple, but ended up giving the flag to the police guarding the area instead. Yeah. But another hot story, is revolving also around the, of course, increasing price of gold, and of course the bullion plunging, and of course the price is actually being under pressure by some central banks' attempts to actually unload the reserves.
And that's following the Central Bank of Cyprus, who is already selling its gold and also assets and having tax deposits due to their attempt to raise money in order to get the loan from the IMF. Well, central banks worldwide, including the Bank of Thailand, are among the biggest losers following the plunge in gold prices because they own about 31,000 tons of gold, or 19% of all the gold that's mined, as global investors dump gold funds in favor of equities. With gold prices having fallen 18% so far this year, central banks and International Monetary Fund globally saw their combined value of gold reserves reduced by $560 billion to $1.4 trillion. Policy banks added 534 tons of the metal to their reserves last year, the most since 1964. About $773 billion was wiped off the value of gold holdings globally on Monday, from about $8.3 trillion on at the end of last week, based on futures and 2011 estimate by the World Gold Council. The value of the BOT's gold reserves has also fallen from $8.1 billion at the end of last year to $7.8 billion as of April the 5th. It also turned out that the central bank has unloaded some gold ahead of the recent price plunge at the price of $1,552 an ounce on April the 5th that indicated Thai gold reserves of just over 141 tons. According to the World Gold Council, which tracks gold supply and the demand of all sectors, as of January, BOT's Thailand reserves accentuated for 152 tons, ranking it 25th in terms of gold weight. Well, the Thai Central Bank Governor Prasan Thairatwarakul recently said that the official gold reserve stood at 130 tons. South Africa Reserve Bank Governor Gil Marcus on Tuesday described the gold price decline as extremely concerning, but said the bank holding 125 tons would not adjust its reserve policy. Sri Lanka's central bank governor, meanwhile, said falling prices were an opportunity for nations to raise gold reserves and that the island state would favorably examine buying more. The Bank of Korea said that the plunge was not a big concern because holding the metal is part of a long-term strategy for diversifying currency reserves.
Well, we have been catching up with the latest update on Vietnam's struggling to actually reinvigorate the economy. So one of these strategies is that the Vietnamese lawmakers are backing up the government's proposal to reduce the current general level of enterprise income tax to 22% in an effort to boost investment in the Vietnamese businesses. So it was agreed here in the National Assembly Standing Committee that the 3% drop in tax will be an effective measure to support struggling enterprises. The deputies also agreed to set an enterprise income tax rate of 20% for small and medium enterprises, while businesses working in the social housing field will be taxed 10%. So some participants in the discussions called for the tax reductions to come into force from the beginning of July this year, rather than January next year, as proposed by the government in a bid to solve difficulties facing the business community as soon as possible. However, a full resolution has yet to be agreed, and so the date of implementation will be set in the near future. National Assembly Chairman Nguyen Sinh Hun and Law Committee Chairman Phan Trung Ly said that implementing preferential tax rates for enterprises was a positive measure, but warned that tax reduction should only be made in combination with adjustments to income tax and value-added tax laws that will be submitted to the National Assembly for approval next May. So other fields facing economic struggles, including agriculture, aquaculture, and forestry in mountainous and island areas, could also receive preferential tax rates in the near future. The government has estimated that the state budget will lose nearly 2.65 trillion Vietnamese dong, or around $126 million due to the approved tax reductions.
The Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will hold talks on Thursday with Myanmar counterpart Suu Kyi, during which they are expected to discuss Japanese support for the democratization process of Myanmar. Suu Kyi, who is on her first visit to Japan in 27 years, is also expected to call on Japanese firms to invest in her country, which is fast attracting businesses for its relatively cheap labor after its transition to a democratic government in March 2011. Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga voiced hope that Japan can take the lead in forging the basis of reconciliation and development amid ongoing religious and ethnic tensions in Myanmar. For that purpose, the government has named the chairman of the Nippon Foundation, Yohei Sasakawa, as a representative to help attain peace between the Myanmar government and ethnic minorities in the country. On Tuesday, Suu Kyi also met with the Crown Prince Naruhito, Upper House President Kenji Hirata, and around a dozen DAE members working to promote bilateral ties.
Malaysia's CIMB Bank says Thailand dual listing slated for Q4. Next break.